Welcome to US. Bad cops. Like, share and comment below to join the conversation and demand accountability. If you like this video, press 1. On February 12, 2021, Officer James Marshall of the Cobia Police Department noticed a running vehicle parked outside a hotel while on patrol. After observing the vehicle for 15 minutes, he approached the driver, Rodney Rucker, who was warming up his car before heading to his shift at McDonald's.
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm Officer Marshall, Sentobi Police Department. Look, the reason I'm getting out with you, man, you've been sitting here for a while, and this is a high area, man, for like narcotics, prostitution, stuff like that.
Who told you that? Who called?
Who told you that?
I'm saying, who called?
No, nobody called, man. I was just patrolling. No, observed you.
I was here. At the hotel. You want me on my car?
Okay, like you said, man, you was just sitting in and stuff, so that's just the reason why I'm getting out with you, okay? Like I says, we have a lot of stuff like that goes on. Yeah, okay, so I'm just trying to make sure everything's on the up and up. You do got a room and stuff. Oh, okay. So you do got a room?
Yeah.
What room number? 105. Okay. Well, do you have your ID on you, man? Just so I can advise dispatch who I'm talking to?
I ain't got my ID right now.
You don't have it on you? Huh?
Yeah, I ain't got my ID.
4817 on the route.
Okay. You know your social? I just got to advise dispatch who I'm talking to. You don't know it? Okay, what's your name, man?
Rodney.
Who?
Rodney.
Rodney? R-O-D-N-E-Y? Okay. What's your birthday, Mr. Rodney?
I mean, what's the reason? Like,
What's your last name, Rodney?
I'm saying, what's the reason?
I just told you.
I got to work. I just
Okay.
out. Like,
All right.
It ain't no reason. Like, anybody can be coming out, leaving out. That's what I'm saying. Anybody
I get
can
that.
be leaving out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
Understand. Cause
Yeah.
we go every day, in and out everywhere.
Okay,
Why you
we're going to
calling
find
my
out.
car?
Again, I'm asking
Well,
you, you're going to
I gotta go to
identify
work,
yourself
man.
and step out of that vehicle.
I gotta, you ain't finna do that, cause you already violated me.
Hey,
first.
hey,
Calm it down.
When you first came
Get out
out,
that car.
He already violated
Get
me.
out that
Come
car.
on,
It ain't. It's gonna go bad for you, okay?
So get out the
Come on
car.
You
step out
can't.
the
You
car.
can't.
11, come on.
How
Now.
he go?
Step out of the car.
You violated.
Get out of the
Hey,
car.
Hey, just
Last time.
step out of the
Under
car.
something.
Hold on.
He
You
wouldn't
under
identify
drugs.
himself.
Huh?
He under
He's
drugs.
also wanting to
Step
identify.
out.
Head on this way. You see the white powder?
Violated me.
Hey,
He don't know. I'm not getting out. You not read. Man, one of y'all didn't read me right or nothing.
we're trying to talk with you. Step
No.
out.
He didn't try to talk to you. You violated me when you.
I got it all on camera where I explained to you the situation, my purpose for getting out with you.
He got me. I've been asleep the whole time. I just woke up.
You just woke up. You've been sitting out here for a good minute. I've been
You
watching
don't
you.
even know me.
I don't
How you gonna
care.
Tell me about my life.
You're
You don't
going to
know
tell me your
Bro,
name. If you don't get out, it's going to go badly.
It ain't gonna go bad for me. Nothing.
Okay.
I'm telling you now.
And I'm trying to be patient with you.
You ain't being patient with me. You just want somebody to pick on, don't you? Huh?
Officer Marshall detained Mr. Rucker without reasonable suspicion, violated his rights by demanding identification without cause, and falsely accused him of drug use. Marshall and Officer Carter used excessive force, including breaking Mr. Rucker's window and conducting an unnecessary search, showing clear police brutality.
Fucking hand behind your back. Get the other hand. Yeah, I got it.
Playing
with you, boy. Okay.
All that powder in your nose, dusting that powder off your fucking leg.
This oil.
Oil ain't white,
Won't you just listen? Listen to what they tell you to do.
you gotta do.
Okay.
That's all you gotta do.
What you so worried about in that car? Huh?
No.
Oil ain't white. Had powder all over his nose, on his lap. Refusing to identify himself.
Resisting arrest, fake to comply.
27. One in custody.
Check Brianna.
Hey man, is that one of yours?
What? Yes, needed me.
Oh man, hate it for your phones, dude.
Oh, that's mine. That's mine.
Yeah, I know they are. Ain't no good. Here you are. You good? You ain't gonna say? That's cool. We're gonna find it. What? He's saying nah, he's good. He ain't gonna say his in the car.
I ain't got anything.
You already snorted?
I don't smoke. I don't
smoke?
do anything, sir.
Yeah, that's all.
This
Oh, ain't fucking white.
When I'm at work, I work at McDonald's.
Yeah?
You know.
That why that was on your pants right there too? You dusted off. I watched you doing it. So full of shit.
Go ahead.
Come back here. Hey, is yours unlocked?
595316.
He ain't gonna fit mine. You too damn tall.
Check.
Check them out. Man, I don't do this, bro. I don't even do drugs.
Mr. Rucker was charged with disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and a DUI, despite no drugs being found. The charges were dropped when the arresting officer didn't appear in court. On June 16, 2022, Mr. Rucker sued the city of Senatobia, Mississippi, and 3 officers for Fourth Amendment violations, lack of probable cause, and excessive force causing injuries. He seeks compensatory and punitive damages, attorney fees, costs, expenses, and interest. On April 27, 2018 in New Jersey, some neighbors saw a driver behaving recklessly on Breakwater Road, almost causing multiple accidents. When the police arrived, they were surprised to find out that the driver was actually their own boss, Lieutenant John A. Chu.
Hey LT, how you doing?
Somebody called it on you driving erratic.
Erratic driver. Hey, I'm sorry to bother you. My mic's live, just so you know, at this point. I mean, my camera. We had an erratic driver call. Lieutenant, did you see who was... Did you tell him to stand by? Yes. You? You're not. Turn it on. Did you get any... Yes. We gotta do what we gotta do. He's 450 you. You told him to just hang tight. You didn't observe any alcohol in the thing or anything. I know you probably don't. It's a high truck. Is there an odor yet or anything? We're gonna have to pull him out. Hey, I'm gonna be late picking. I'm not gonna be able to pick you up. Can you drive in? We have an incident. All right, see. We're gonna have to pull him out. We can't beat our cameras. We can't do anything. Let's hope. Hopefully he's all right. Safe to drive. Edward's just coming in. Hey, LT. So we had the erratic driver call on you. I just knew she had some observation. We have to handle this. He's just gonna talk to you. You know how it is. He's gonna ask you some questions, make sure you're all right. I'm fine.
Keep your other feet down at your side. You're gonna raise either leg of your choice. Keep your foot parallel to the ground. And you're gonna count. 1001, 1002, 1003. While you're counting, I want you to look down at your toe. Keep both knees locked out. You understand?
You want to give it? You don't want to complete the test, sir?
No.
All right. So you know we don't need or LT.
Shit, no.
Okay.
No.
All right. Visions. LT, we're gonna have to bring you in and put you on the box based on the test. I know you wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. We can get you in the back of the car, get you out of here.
Let me ask you this. Can I have 20 minutes?
Sir, you know we cannot do that. Everything is, sir.
Drive my truck home, please.
The keys are in it. We'll handle that. LT, we'll handle that. All right. Do front and search them. Okay. Don't put them in the back. I'm saying you can cuff them in the front. LT, you know you can't do that, sir. We can't have you in the front seat.
I can't have you in the front seat.
We're not going to cuff you in the back, okay? We're going to do it in the front, all right?
Are you serious?
Sir, you understand this. You would hate to be in our position too. John, please, John. Please, John. John, please. We'll get you the help you need. Let's just, come on. You know we don't want to do this to you.
No, there's no cops.
Yeah, what it's to do with it. Policies and procedures. Let me call the LT. You can shut the door.
In this situation, police officers respond to a scenario where a high-ranking officer, Lieutenant Chu, is drunk and defiant. They discreetly turn on their body cameras and report the incident over the radio for accountability. Unsure of what to do, they try to seek guidance from another superior officer. Despite their efforts, Lieutenant Chu fails a DUI test due to being clearly intoxicated. He resists arrest and challenges the officer's authority, showing a sense of entitlement. Eventually, he is handcuffed in an unconventional manner, different from standard procedure.
In the front. We can do it in the front, but we gotta do it. LT, we just talked to Lieutenant Perdoli. We have to, in the front, we'll do it right here. Don't have to do it behind your back. Okay? Please cooperate. I have to get it towed. I have to tell it. Oh, man. But we've had guys get these before and get back to work, just so you know.
Hopefully you'll get the help he needs.
I know. I hope so, too. It's terrible.
Love the guy, man. See him throw it all away.
Lieutenant Chu got busted with a blood alcohol level of 0.36%, landing him in the hospital and subsequently out of a job with a $700 fine. The whole ordeal emphasized the need for body cameras to keep everyone, even those in power, in check. On 2021, in a small town in Arkansas called Boone, Chief Deputy Michael Kyle Dunn Newton finds himself in a tight spot. He's driving erratically, catching the attention of a nearby police officer. But Newton seems completely unaware of the danger he's in as he continues driving recklessly.
Hello. Hey. I'm Trooper Valentine, Arkansas State Police. Stopped because you look like you're having trouble controlling your vehicle. All right, what's going on? Yeah. Okay. All right, can I see your driver's license? So where are you coming from?
Just over Missouri.
Okay. How much have you had to drink?
Not much.
Okay. Well,
It's off.
it's off of you? Is it in the vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're a deputy?
I'm the chief deputy.
You're the chief. Okay. Well, so you know better.
I've had some bad times.
Okay. Well, I understand that. But, I mean, you know we can't be out driving if we've been drinking.
Yeah.
And, you know, my job's going to be on the line just like yours is, okay? Go ahead and stand. All right. You gonna be all right?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead and stand up for me right here, okay? And face my car. Do you want to go through these tests or you just want me to take you in?
Can't give me a break, man.
You know I can't. Absolutely can't. It's on camera. I can't do anything about it. I've got family out here on this highway. I'm sure you do too. Again, it's up to you. But like I said, we can't sit here all day. So either we can do some tests here. I can PBT you. We can see where you're at. You know the law. If you're under 8%, I mean, it's still, you know that I have no discretion when it comes to DWIs. No, it's not. We've got cameras, we've got everything else. It's not like it used to be. Do me a favor. Walk up this way. Go ahead and put your hands on my car. All right, we're just going to go through this like we normally do.
Really?
I I just got to follow policy, man. If I want them to back me up, I got to do what they want me to do. All right? Go ahead and put your hands on there. Bring your feet backward toward me. No, put your hands on the car for me. Bring your feet back. All right. So you don't have anything on you. All right.
Yeah.
You want me to follow policy?
I think it's bullshit, by the way, but...
Okay. Let's go. I'll follow you.
Just sit me in the back seat.
Yeah, we'll sit you in the back seat. Go ahead. Okay, yeah, sure. Go ahead. We'll go on that side. No, go on the passenger side. You want me buckled?
Are you serious?
You don't want me buckled? I mean, that's up to you, I guess.
Man,
It's not my fault. Don't look at me like it.
no, it's my fault.
Okay. You understand that?
No, I
It's
do
not on me.
understand. I know it's not on you.
Okay.
And I
If you were
appreciate
some other guy out here, driving around suspended, no job, whatever, I'd be doing the same thing.
A guy named Michael, who's pretty influential, gets pulled over by a cop for a regular traffic stop. Even though he's a big shot, the cop still makes him do sobriety tests, thinking he can talk his way out of it. But the cop won't budge, and Michael starts to realize he's in deep trouble. Despite his efforts, he ends up getting handcuffed and thrown into the back of the cop car, messing up his career big time.
Can you let me out, man? I mean,
Well, I don't want to do that. And I'm not saying you're going to run or do anything stupid, but,
anything to say. This is ridiculous. And you are no better than Jamie Ralston. And all she wants to say to you is for you to come get your stuff. Because if you cared about her, you wouldn't do this.
Things took a turn for the worse when he refused a chemical breath test, resulting in a $800 fine. As a result, he lost his position as chief and was sentenced to a year in prison. This highlighted the ongoing problem of authority figures abusing their power in the United States. On May 17, 2022, Elise Cornelio was pulled over by a police officer on the highway for speeding and driving erratically. When she couldn't provide her driver's license, she tried to use her status as a county deputy to get out of trouble. Unfortunately for her, things didn't go as planned, and the situation worsened.
Can I see your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance?
I'm a Pinellas County deputy.
Okay.
And my driver's license, please.
Huh?
I'm a
Do you
Pinellas
have your license, registration? No? You don't? Do you have your ID on you? Do you have any weapons on you?
No.
Okay.
Well, I'm a deputy, but...
Well, that's why I'm asking. Do you have any weapons on you?
I live right there.
Okay.
I would normally, but...
Do you have some kind of ID or anything on you?
My ID is not here. But I'm a Pinellas County deputy.
Okay. Do you have some kind of ID on you?
No. I was just driving. That way I dropped my friend off and then I went this way because I live right there.
I get that, but I pulled you over because you were flying past everybody and you were cutting.
No, I was just driving
Okay, when I was
regular
pulling you
way.
in, dude, at this point you were going like 56 and a 40. You were flying.
No, I was not flying. I was just
Do you have your registration with your name on it or anything?
Well, this car is not mine, so...
Okay. Do you have anything with your name on it?
Elise got pulled over by the cops and had trouble showing proper ID, only giving her driver's license. Her behavior made the cops think she might be drunk or high, so they tested her, and she failed all the tests. Even though she didn't want to, they arrested her for possibly driving under the influence.
Do you have your work ID?
No, it's at home in my cruiser.
Okay. Where do you live at?
I live at...
Okay. So not the address in your license?
No. I live right there.
Whose car is this?
My father's.
Please step over here. Can you walk over? Are you able to walk over here?
Yeah, in the fucking.
Well, no, I just want to get on the sidewalk so we're not.
Kid.
Okay, all right. Talking to you, I am getting some signs of impairment. Okay, can I check your eyes real quick?
Really?
All right, I want to give you every chance to say that you're fine. Okay. So can I check your eyes real quick?
This is what we're gonna do right now?
I don't have a choice.
You don't have a choice?
No.
And you pulled me over for going 10 miles over the speed limit?
You were going more than 10 over the speed limit. And
Really?
it's not just speed, it's also how you were driving.
No.
Look,
10 miles over the speed limit.
I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, unfortunately, we're past that point. You understand my position. How much food do you have?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so why do you smell like alcohol?
I do not smell like alcohol. I smell like pigment.
That's not pigment. That's very strong alcohol.
Elise got fired after testing with a blood alcohol concentration of 0.206% in a breathalyzer test. This underscores the risks associated with driving under the influence. On December 14, 2021, officers Galt and Beatty wrongly detained Mr. Jeffrey Gray, a veteran who was simply holding a sign saying, "God bless the homeless." They responded to a call from the brewery company's manager and RP Axel, who claimed that Jeff was trespassing and asking for money from employees and customers.
Money and stuff like that.
God bless the homeless.
Okay, well, they don't want you up front of the business.
I don't want you up in front of the business.
Okay, well, that's not how this is
So
going
you
to
can
go.
go get in your car and leave.
No.
I'll give you 5 seconds. I'll give you 5. And that's it.
They just don't want you up here anymore.
I don't care. They don't have the authority to tell me not to be here.
They said you're asking for money and stuff like that.
That's what they said. It's hearsay.
Huh?
It's hearsay.
That's...
I say I'm not asking for money.
Okay, well, they said you're up front. So can you just go somewhere else?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not going somewhere. I'll put it in my heart to stand right here. I'm staying right here.
Okay, but they don't want you blocking the sidewalk and stuff.
I'm not blocking the sidewalk.
Okay, you have your ID on you?
I don't have any ID on me now.
Okay.
And if I did, I wouldn't give it to you anyway.
Alright, well, you need to just move along there. That's all they want you to do.
Nope, not happening.
Why?
Because I'm just saying God bless someone's lives.
Okay, yeah, and you have the right to do that.
Yeah.
They just don't want you in front of the business.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Are you going to ask him for money?
Yeah.
He's just saying he's doing his political God bless America stuff. He's on his public sidewalk and he doesn't want to leave. You guys know him?
No. One of my employees has dealt with him before at another location. I've never seen him before here. I've had a couple of customers complain about it. He asked me to go up the street. I'm like, dude, I tried to talk to him and be like, hey man,
He's saying the same thing that he's on his public sidewalk and he's not asking people for money. He's just saying God bless.
when I went out there, he was on our sidewalk, on our side of the sidewalk.
Okay. Is that who he just stays on the public sidewalk? And
I'd rather he did.
he's not going to. He's recording me. I'm recording him. This is going to be. I mean, he doesn't want to identify himself, so.
Right. And that's not like him harassing customers out there.
If it's gotten to that point.
Jeff was approached by Officer Galt over a complaint, but refused to show his ID, asserting his right to be on the sidewalk without breaking any laws. Despite Officer Galt's lack of knowledge about panhandling ordinances, he continued questioning. Officer BD then accused Jeff of panhandling, confiscated his gun, and detained him unlawfully. Later investigation proved Jeff's innocence, revealing he was within his rights and had a valid weapon permit. The incident showed officers' misunderstanding of panhandling laws and Jeff's legal knowledge, leading to a supervisory inquiry.
Okay. So they have every right to have you move along. And since we're here, because they called for you, we have to identify you.
I'm not giving you any ID.
If you don't, we'll go to jail.
I'm not giving you any ID. I got showed him. Can I reach like I'm ID?
This
is my ID.
You want to play that game?
I'm not showing you anything else. At this point, I'm invoking my right to remain silent. I'm invoking my right to have my attorney present during questions. I'm not answering questions. I'm not giving you ID.
Okay. I'm just making sure that you understand that your attorney has nothing to do with us. Okay, your attorney has to do with court. That's not us. And because we're here for you, we have the right during an investigation to identify you.
I'm not identifying myself.
So you're going to end up going to jail.
I told him my name is Jeff, and that's all I'm giving you.
No, if you want to give us your information, then that's fine. But we still have to.
Am I being detained at this point?
Yes.
For what?
For the identification of you, which is an investigation that they started.
I'm not giving any identification. I'd like to remain silent.
Okay. At this point, you're being detained. Okay. So use this. Do you have anything in your pockets that don't poke, stab, or anything?
Since you're asking me if I have anything in my pockets, I am armed lawfully. Okay. Concealed carry permit.
Okay. Where's it at?
Here's my hands. It's in my pocket.
In your front pocket?
Yeah. Here's my hands.
Perfect.
Matter of fact, why don't you guys just put me in cuffs? I don't want any.
You are like your attorney. But your attorney is a court. That's not us. All we want to do is identify you so that
I don't consent to any searches. I don't consent to any seizures.
Well, you're right now. I'm making sure you have no knives on you. And then when they write a statement saying that you were breaking the law, what's this? Is that a knife or no? Is that a knife?
I don't have any knives.
Okay.
There's 2 magazines in my left pocket.
Okay.
So I don't consent to any searches.
That's fine. You just told me there's magazines to the gun that I just pulled off, so I'm just grabbing those. Your sign doesn't say anything about money. And I just asked the guy who's sitting on the porch, and he says he didn't hear you beg for money. And so the only person who has a complaint about you standing on city property, which is not his problem, which is what I was explaining to him.
I just want to stand there on the sidewalk.
That's what I was trying to just tell you. I just can't figure out what's going on.
10-4. So you have the right to be on the sidewalks, and you have a CCW.
This scenario underscores the importance of holding law enforcement officers accountable for any violations of citizens' rights. Often, these violations occur due to misunderstandings of local laws, highlighting the need for comprehensive training and oversight. Responsibility doesn't solely rest with the officers, but also with the legal system as a whole. Supervisors must ensure that their teams are well informed about the laws they enforce. Additionally, it's crucial for citizens to understand that while officers uphold the law, their motivations may not always align with citizens' best interests. On November 29, 2022, Kenneth Espinosa, aged 48, encountered trouble in Trinidad, Colorado, when his son Nathaniel was pulled over by Deputy Mikhail Noel of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office for a traffic violation. Kenneth parked nearby to wait for his son, but Lieutenant Henry Trujillo arrived and ordered him to leave, threatening unspecified charges.
Do you need to be behind this traffic stop?
Yeah, I do.
Why?
My son right there, he was following me.
Okay, he's on a traffic stop, though. You don't need to be behind it.
Oh, you gotta be mean.
Oh, I'm not being mean. We just don't like when people pull in behind us.
I don't like when they pull my son over.
That's what we get paid to do, to pull people over.
But you don't get paid to be...
And you don't either, okay? I don't got to put up with your... Okay, I asked you a simple question, okay?
Hold on, man.
In fact, you need to leave now or you're going to get charged. It's that easy. I'm recording too. I asked you a simple question. If you have attitude, that's your problem. Okay?
You pounding on my door.
Yeah, you saw me and you rolled your window up when I came. Hold on a second, okay?
No.
You rolled your window up when I walked up, okay? So I knocked on your window, okay? You are not a cop. You don't need to be behind you, okay? So you need to leave right now.
I don't need to do anything.
You got 5 seconds to leave, okay? There's no reason for you to be behind this traffic stop. No reason, okay? No reason, okay?
It's not a public
street.
No reason. Do I not pay taxes?
Do you always stop behind cops when they pull people over?
I ain't stopped right behind it.
Okay, you don't need to be here. You don't need to be here, okay? You need to go.
No, I don't. I'm waiting on my son.
All right,
He's
fine.
right back.
Kenneth, knowing his rights, decided to film a traffic stop, citing a previous court case to support his actions. However, Officers Trujillo and Noel made the situation worse by giving conflicting orders and ultimately using a taser on Kenneth, even when he tried to comply. Trujillo's actions after the arrest, such as turning off his body camera and ignoring medical advice, are troubling. This incident raises concerns about excessive force and police behavior. Kenneth's decision to sue shows his determination for justice, while the officer's actions highlight the need for investigation and possible punishment.
Okay, you don't need to be here.
You don't need to be here,
okay? You need to go.
No, I don't. I'm waiting on my son. He's my ride back to Walson.
Leave. Leave. That's the car. Stay. Hey, stop the car. Get the car. Get out the car.
What are you gonna do? You gonna
SD4, give me the radio.
get out the car. Get out the car. Get out the car.
Stop it now.
Get out the car. Get out the car. Get out the car. Get out the car.
Stop it now.
Get out the car.
Get out of the car. Now. What the hell do you think you're doing?
I ain't doing anything.
Okay. Now you're on a traffic stop and you're trying to drive away?
Get out the car. Call state police. Get out the
Control
car.
has nothing to do with anything. Okay, they don't have jurisdiction over it. Get out of the car now. No.
I got my truck.
Don't give a clear the park.
I just did, pal.
Sit down is off.
Don't pull away from me.
I'm not.
You're going to get lit up.
I'm not.
Okay, you're going to get
You're
lit up.
breaking my arm, man. Hold on, I'm gonna get out. Get out the fucking car. Get out the car. Can you hold on? Can you guys
Get out.
hold on?
Now.
I'm getting out. I'm not.
You're under arrest.
I'm not.
Get out. Turn around and face the truck. You're under arrest.
Okay, guys.
Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back.
I'm going. Put your hands. I'm going peacefully, dog. Get back. Get back. Hey, he's recording this case. But that's fine. He can record all he wants. This is case, guys. You guys.
You do what you're told, all right? You think it's okay just to roll up on traffic stops and not do what you're told? Now you go to jail.
That's all right. I'm a
Turn around and face the truck.
I'm already cuffed. You guys not listening. If he's listening, he won't get handled.
Now let's
Don't
go.
move.
Let's go.
That's great. You need to stay around. Get in the car. Get in the car. Get in when you. I'm gonna tase you. Get in the car. Get in damn.
You have your wallet on you?
Don't do that, man.
I'm gonna get you out. I'm gonna pass search you. Now get out.
I got my wallet.
Get out now. Get out now. This is how it's gonna work. Okay? You're gonna do what you're told to do, and that's it.
Stand up. Come on, guys. This is excessive. Stop. Come on, man.
All it. Well, quit acting like an idiot.
I ain't acting like nothing. I got a taser piece in my lip. You guys shot me right in the face.
He runs it while I'm holding onto the car. So I had him at gunpoint. Then he puts the car in reverse, backs up almost hits the car while I'm still holding onto the car. And we tried getting him out of the car, and he had the car in drive, and he accelerated, but it didn't go nowhere.
We tried to get him out, and he was refusing, and then when we tried to put him in, he was refusing. So I tased him, and then I tried to get him out to pass search him and get his wallet because he wouldn't tell me anything. And then that's when you rolled up.
Okay.
I'm going to get him over to the jail.
This situation highlights the importance of holding law enforcement accountable. It shows that officers need proper training, must follow established procedures, and must prioritize protecting citizens' rights and safety. We must demand transparency and accountability to maintain trust between law enforcement and the communities they serve, preventing incidents like this from damaging that trust. On May 30th, 2021, Officers Hanning and Summers responded to a 911 call alleging assault by Michael Clark on Brittany Odom. Despite her intoxication, no evidence supported her claims. Odom had prior convictions for fraud and domestic violence.
The neighbor right there. Yeah, what's it called? Wait. This is Brittany. She's the one that got hit. I live here. This is my friend Brittany. And then this is my neighbor that hit her. I wasn't even here. I was outside. I literally
he
just saw you.
banged on the door, like, or through the wall. Bam, 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 and I'm sleeping. Shut the up. And so I like came out and was like, what's going on? He busted all of my shit. My nose, my mouth. All I want to do is like, hey, what was disturbing you? And he was like, shut the fuck up! Boom!
Was he white, black?
He's
Hispanic?
white.
Does he have hair?
Yeah.
Is he bald?
Gray hair?
Yeah, gray hair. He's an older guy. He's about this tall. That guy lives right there in that room, and that's where the wall would go.
He was bang, bang, bang. That's what woke me up.
We just moved in here yesterday, but I saw him like last night.
Okay.
I'm gonna put my phone in the bathroom.
Okay.
What do you want?
What the?
Put it down!
Put it down!
Put it down!
Get on the ground down!
Back up. Get out here right now! Get out here!
Get on the ground!
No. They hit that wall so hard, I thought they were going to come through the wall.
Party's unconscious.
Sir? 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 Sir, talk to us. Talk to me. Talk to me. Sir, talk to me.
That big bat that he's holding. That looks like a freaking...
Where did you find that? Did you have to hunt for it?
It was laying right there on the ground when I walked in. Alright.
I did not get that down.
Not arguing with you.
I did not get that down.
Alright. We're gonna sit up.
I did not get that down.
I'm gonna go down with you.
It was on.
You want him out of cuffs
up there.
up here?
Okay. Did you go in my apartment and look for weapons?
Mr. Clark, you're gonna sit up here.
Did you look at my apartment and look for weapons?
We don't need. They don't need to look out in the apartment. It was here in the hallway.
How did you get in the hallway? What is going on? I have done nothing wrong. What did I do?
What's that?
What did I do?
Punch that girl.
Huh?
Punch that girl and then answer the door with a freaking machete, man.
Oh, no, that is absolutely false.
Alright.
Okay.
We're gonna stand here on
I did not come after nobody.
Okay. You're dealing with me now. We're gonna go down to the ambulance so I can...
I was just in bed.
Alright, we're gonna stand up on the count of 3. Ready? 1, 2, 3, stand up.
I attacked nobody. I did nothing.
Sit
Does
back.
this look familiar?
I messed up on top there.
Just sit.
I did not come at anybody.
Sit down.
Swing your legs up. Swing your legs up. Sir, swing your legs up.
Police officers responded to Mr. Clark's home without strong evidence, even though Mr. Clark had the right to have a collectible sawfish snout sword in his home. Officer Hanning entered without properly identifying himself, sparking a confrontation. Officer Hanning used his taser hastily, causing Mr. Clark to fall and have a stroke. Officer Hanning faced assault charges, while Officer Summers resigned. Mr. Clark sued and settled for $7 million, despite the city denying responsibility. In simpler terms, some cops used too much force on an old guy and tried to hide it. The old guy, Mr. Clark, got hurt because of lies and crooked cops. He got some money as compensation, but it couldn't fix all the damage done to him. On 2022, in a small Delaware town, Jonathan Gesford becomes a whistleblower by alerting drivers to a police speed trap. This bravery leads to a showdown with 2 state troopers. Douglas and Gallows, who prioritize revenue over safety. What follows reveals shocking misconduct within the department.
I'm on the side of the road, legally parked, with a sign which is protected by the First Amendment. So you can, I'm disrupting nothing. I'm gonna do it right here where I'm at. Oh, I'm not?
I have drivers coming up to me telling me that you're jumping out in traffic.
Because apparently they're erroneous. I don't give a what somebody else says. What did you witness? Nothing of the sort. So keep your to yourself.
You wanted our attention, you got it. I mean,
I don't want your attention. Go the away, road pirate.
You wanted our attention.
Go away, road pirates. You keep saying jumping in traffic. When did you witness this offense? Don't you came to me. You came to me. You came to me. You came to me.
Tell me that you're jumping out in front of them with the sign.
So they want to lick your boots. Let them. Don't put your hands on me. Do not. Give me my property back. You piece of. Give me my property back. You see this? You tyrant piece of. You tyrant. What are your badge numbers?
Step back, okay?
No,
Don't walk up
no,
to me
you
like
stole
that.
my property.
Did you see anything in my hands?
You
stole your
piece
property?
of.
The reason I stopped you is you had your hand out the window with.
So what?
Yeah.
So what? It's constitutionally protected speech.
Is there a reason why you're doing that? Is there a reason why you're doing that? Your hand out the window.
This is what I did. You got a problem with that?
Sir,
listen to me. Listen to
No,
me.
no, no.
All right, listen.
Go away.
Disorderly conduct.
No, it is not.
That is disorderly
That
conduct.
is called
If you were doing it
freedom
out in the
of
public.
speech.
If you are
no,
out in
no,
the public,
no,
you are out in the public and people see you.
No, it is not.
Here's what's going to happen.
No.
License, please.
No.
Here's what's going to happen.
I want your supervisor, please.
I am the supervisor. I am the supervisor.
License,
and that's why
please.
I'm here.
I'm going to reach into my pocket and get my
fine.
license.
You're fine.
And I'm going to take you to
You're fine.
court.
But here's what I'm saying. Take it to court. That's what I want you to do. That's what I want you. I want you to take it to court.
But before we go any farther, you're pulling me over for what?
Because
For
you had
disorderly conduct.
Because you had your finger out.
Disorderly conduct
Now,
what?
here's what's about to happen. You're about to be arrested again for resisting arrest.
No, I'm not resisting anything.
Yeah. Right now you're being detained.
For
okay?
what?
You're being detained.
I told you why I stopped you already, sir.
For putting my middle finger up. That's correct?
No,
Correct.
No,
exactly.
Correct.
You extended your arm out the window.
No, I had my middle finger out the window.
Okay, let me get your ID.
You had your middle finger out the window. Okay. Yeah.
What we can do, we're going to take you in, we're going to tow the car, and we'll call social services for the kid.
Oh, so
and
now
the
you're
door.
threatening. Now you're threatening my
No,
child.
it's not a threat. It's a promise.
You're threatening my child now.
I'm telling you.
Take
Middle
finger out of the road, out of the window.
Okay.
What's that? What's that? Nah, what's isn't it like a improper hand signal or something? Charge. No, I mean like if you stick your finger, I'm telling you, if you put your arm out the road, your hand out the road, and you're like with a middle finger, you could. That's like a, isn't that? I'm pretty sure. You sure about that? Out the window with the middle finger. Okay. As you was driving by, like, oh, game on. Okay.
I mean, he pulled him over for it, like giving him the middle finger.
Yeah, giving him the middle finger. So
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
That'll get dropped.
yeah, it's gonna get thrown. I told him his death's gonna get thrown out, but it's just going, it's gonna cause the problem. He's gonna mess up eventually. He's gonna do something really stupid, and then we are gonna be able to really lock him up.
Something stupid like, park in the roadway.
Right.
Something like that that'll apply. Unfortunately, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't. We can't pull people over. We can't write up tickets for telling us to fuck off or giving us a middle finger and stuff like that. And, that's their right to do so.
Yeah.
But all right, I'll do some more work up on this guy, and I'll pass it on.
And then number two, we have no real basis to write him. It's gonna get thrown out anyway. That it's gonna get thrown out. The hand gesture thing, it's not. It doesn't count for finger, for fingers, middle fingers. So.
It doesn't count for sticking your hand out to middle finger.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
All right, well, at least it's inconvenient so you guys.
Right. So now, So he's going to do something stupid one day where we are going to be able to lock him up for disorderly conduct, and I just wish we had the witness and even had it on video.
In this situation, a man named Gesford encounters police officers. humorously dubbed road pirates for their contentious revenue-generating methods. Despite having his sign taken and facing manipulation from the deputies, Gesford boldly plans to return with another sign. This defiance leads to him being pulled over by Trooper Douglas, who claims Gesford made an offensive gesture towards Master Corporal Rayford Box. However, such gestures are protected by the Constitution, and the officers struggle to justify the legality of the stop, revealing their desperation. A trooper named Douglas was caught on dash cam audio discussing with another officer how to falsely charge Gesford with crimes. Gesford, feeling his constitutional rights were violated, decides to sue the Delaware State Police. This lawsuit sheds light on potential abuse of power by law enforcement and raises concerns about misconduct. Further updates on the case will be provided as it moves forward. On 2022, Sergeant Peter Fakis, a man from Indianapolis, got into trouble when he crashed his 2020 Jeep while driving drunk. Even though there was evidence, like an open bottle of vodka in his car, Fakis refused to take sobriety tests from the Highway Patrol. They arrested him, but he was later released. Fakis was put on administrative leave while they looked into the incident in Fairborn, Ohio. Becca, a seasoned officer with 21 years on the force, was one of the cops who responded to the scene.
You're with me, you're going to seat in my car, okay? I want to talk to you. Alright.
No, my wife's...
66.
What's going on tonight? Step out here with me, we're going to have a seat in my car, okay? I want to talk to you.
Hey, brother, talk to him so he can
come on, man.
Do as much as he can.
You have my phone.
Yeah, we got it. No, we're let him talk to you in his car.
That's all we need.
No, I need you to step out.
Come on.
Come on.
No?
Yes.
Hey, bud.
Look.
We talked about this earlier.
I'm going to tell you.
When you got here, you were going to cooperate with him. I know you wasn't with me, but you're going to with him.
I don't want to take you to jail tonight, okay?
And we told you that.
But if you're going to push my buttons, we'll go straight to jail. I'm not kidding with you, okay? I understand what's going on. I can smell it come from your breath. I already know what's going on.
I'm not pushing buttons.
You're starting to push my buttons already. If you're going to be compliant, be compliant. If not, we can go to jail. And you can figure it out later. I'm trying to be polite with you. But you're not wanting to look me in the eye. You're not even wanting to speak to me. Ask you your name, you just look down. Okay.
Peter Fakis.
Peter Fakis? Okay. Fakis.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Trooper Gardner.
Yes.
I'm Trooper Gardner. I'm going to have you step out with me or we're going to go back to my patrol car, okay? So please step out. Because I can have them transport you to jail and I can just meet you there. It doesn't matter to me, okay? So would you like to step out now? Come on, man.
Stick with him.
Just work
Stick
with me.
with him. Stick with him.
Just work with me, okay? All right, step out, man. Need help?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm that far back here.
And as you can see, he is giving Highway Patrol grief for going to the scene of the incident he caused.
Alright, so you tip my pen?
Okay,
If it is something you're willing to do? Hey, look, predicated on whether or not you take any test or anything is not how I determine.
Yeah, but these are SFSDs.
Correct.
Right.
I'm going to explain it to you real quick, though, okay? Whether or not you refuse it is not predicated on whether or not you go to jail. Your attitude determines that with me, okay? I'll be upfront with you. As long as you're polite and cooperative, I'll work with you to get you home, okay? But if you're going to be a pain to me,
I'm not being a pain.
Let me finish. If you're going to be a pain about stuff and not let me do my job, we'll just go to jail and I'll solve the problem for myself. That's how I do it, okay? So if you don't want to take this, you don't have to. You know that legally, as the rest of us do here. I have to offer it to you. I have to try to do what I can do, okay? I clearly see that you've been drinking. I can smell it on your breath.
When the police got to the crash site, they found Fakis passed out behind the wheel of his wrecked car. They tried to wake him up by tapping on the window, but he didn't respond. Last month, Fakis admitted guilt as part of a deal reported by WTHR. Now that the case is over, Fakis' department will decide if more action is needed. Surprisingly, despite what happened, Fakis won't be going to jail. This scenario shines a light on the issue of corrupt cops who think they're above the law. It stresses the importance of tackling these situations, standing up for justice, and holding everyone accountable. It's a reminder that no one, not even law enforcement, is beyond the reach of justice. The message urges people to stay informed, stay vigilant, and work towards a system where everyone is held responsible for their actions. On 2023, a bystander got caught up in a disturbing incident with the police recently. He was filming a traffic stop for a news outlet, hoping to keep things transparent. Even though he asked to stay anonymous and just be called the public, he ended up getting arrested. This highlights some worrying issues with police behavior in our society.
No question about it. If you're a passenger, you don't have to identify.
Hey, you are now breaking the law. You're interfering with it.
Voice alone can't be deemed interference.
In this situation, a bystander witnessed a police stop involving young individuals who appeared unaware of their rights. When the bystander questioned the officers about their request for identification, the officers turned their attention to him, resulting in his apprehension and detention. Police Chief Charles F. Kimball stated that the bystander had inserted himself into the situation, creating a safety hazard, and he was subsequently arrested and charged. Legal experts, such as Dr. Tammy Bracewell, pointed out that the charge of interfering with or obstructing an officer is broad, and verbal provocation alone may not justify such a charge according to the statute.
Yes, it is interference. You think
Voice alone can't be. What's your name and badge number?
It's printed on my shirt. Move out of the way.
Are you trying to intimidate me?
I'm not trying to intimidate you.
So why are you so close to me?
Okay, give me your ID. You've interfered with an investigation. If you refuse to give me your ID, you're going to jail. Hey, go ahead.
Get your supervisor on the scene.
I don't need a supervisor. You can see him down at the jail. You're going to jail for interference.
What's interference? Just so you saying
interfering with my investigation.
All right, he got his. All right, he got his hand.
You have no right to interfere.
He put his hands on me. Can I put my phone in my pocket? So deprivation of rights under the color of law.
No,
not at all. I have a right to record.
You do. You can record.
So you saying because I said something that's
yes,
interfering?
You can
stay away. Get your supervisor on the scene before you make a big mistake.
Let's go. You see this? I don't need a supervisor.
Okay, get your sergeant, get your lieutenant on the scene.
You're going over to my car.
3106, we have another 95 out here.
So you telling me you have interfered? Is your body cam on?
Okay, you think you know the law?
So you going in my pockets right now?
A person got arrested and then left alone on a public sidewalk, despite saying they had the right to free speech. The police chief talked about the rules officers have to follow, which include protecting citizens' rights. But the person who got arrested said they were denied medical help and a phone call during the 12 hours they were held in Killeen City Jail. After they were let go, they shared a video of what happened and promised to keep recording interactions with public officials. They want to teach other people about their rights and make sure that abuses of power like this don't happen without anyone noticing or doing anything about it.
Hey, you're gonna get tased! Hey, if I get you, you're gonna get tased! Hey, you're gonna get tased! Get the on the ground! Both of you on the ground right now! Put your hands behind your back. Wait, put your hands behind your back. My badge? Congratulations, I don't give a your badge.
I'm sorry, what's going on?
Back up! Back up!
Is this a joke? Guys, what's going on?
Are you guys serious? You don't look like I'm joking.
Guys,
you guys have a real life on this.
Back up!
Okay,
Hey, back up.
Yeah, we chased him down to this trade winds. We're getting him in custody.
Guys, we're not doing anything. Hey,
back him up. I'm not gonna.
Guys, what's going on?
Hey, back up, but don't talk to me.
No, we're good.
Guys,
I don't give a about your badge, dog.
Guys, we're not.
Hey, dog.
What's going on? We're walking to a hotel.
Dude.
A man recently chased by Pinellas County deputies is accused of running away after being caught urinating in a bar's ice machine at a resort in St. Pete Beach, Florida. The officers, visibly frustrated, grew more tense as the suspect resisted. Despite the suspect's attempts to use his status as a Chicago Police Department member, Officer Henry Caput, the detained man, does not merit sympathy. It's crucial to note the deputy's misconduct in holding his taser against Capuch's neck while handcuffing him, revealing the concerning way law enforcement treats civilians every day.
This is a joke. Job you guys have. What's a joke is the job we have? You should do the same thing, right?
You guys recording here or what?
Yeah, I am. Sure, if you're actually a cop, they're gonna love this one.
Come on, hold on my wrist, dude. Jesus Christ. My left wrist, my left wrist. My left one, loosen my left one. That's it. That's all I
want to get to the car.
Hey, Sarge, are you Sarge?
I am.
Hey, Sarge, I'm Chicago Police, just so you know, man.
Oh, God.
Hope you guys have fun tonight. For no reason. This is a joke. Holy.
Hey, is a confirmation 100%? Pissing in the ice bucket? Yeah.
Ice bucket?
Yeah.
Is that my arrest right now? Is that a problem?
Disorderly conduct, yeah, and the license suspension.
The ice bucket?
Yeah, sit down.
I am gonna sit down.
This is a joke. Sit down.
You're gonna push me here? You're the toughest guy I know.
Congratulations.
Right here. Look at you.
Yeah, your precinct would be real proud of you.
It's the 4th precinct, 140%.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd be real proud of you. Sit down. Sit down. You stand up like that again, you're gonna tase. Think I'm playing. Bro, I'm sitting. Bro, you're about to get dumped.
I'm sitting on the bench.
Like that, bro.
I'm sitting on the bench, man. Jesus Christ. What the fuck are you talking about?
That's just still on the bench, dude.
Sit on the bench, bro.
You keep your chest up.
I'm sitting on the bench, dude. I'm sitting on the bench.
Just sit on the bench. Henry?
Sit on the bench, Sarge. Hey, Sarge.
Capuch's irony in complaining about being handcuffed isn't lost on us, considering his training to handle people he saw as criminals. While the deputies could have avoided immediate physical confrontation, it's clear that this aggressive approach is a widespread problem in law enforcement. From Capuch confronting the officers to the forceful response, it's concerning how violence often appears to be law enforcement's go-to solution.
And I won't have to assist you back down every time.
Assist me back down?
Yeah.
Henry,
Have I been screaming, acting like a crazy?
Yeah, you've been acting the whole time.
Stop. You're not a
Yes.
shithead.
I don't believe bro. I think you just drank too much alcohol and made bad decisions tonight.
100%.
Yeah.
Stop, Henry.
I hate doing this to people that wear the same uniform, right? But you make stupid decisions. This is what we have to do.
Capuch's behavior before his arrest was definitely not okay, especially when he tried to get special treatment from other officers. But that doesn't mean the Pinellas County deputies are off the hook. They arrested Capuch, which they had to do, but it's not praiseworthy, especially considering they also acted wrongly during the incident. Capuch is now charged with simple battery and disorderly conduct, and he got fired from the Chicago Police Department, which surprised many. This whole thing shows how much we need to change how law enforcement works, especially because violence seems to be their go-to move in situations like this all across the country. Meet Grant Harden, a 50-year-old police officer with a chilling secret. He's now in custody, suspected of murder. What seemed like a routine investigation turned dark when James Appleton was found dead in his car from a gunshot wound on February 23rd. Grant, being a local cop, became the prime suspect. Despite his law enforcement background, he stayed silent during intense questioning, refusing to talk.
I know we have James Chamberlain. Okay. Did you used to be a police officer somewhere? Or I recognized you, but I wasn't 100% sure where I knew you from. But somebody said that you used to be a police officer at Gateway or something like that. Okay. About what you've done today. Okay. Can you just take me through when you woke up this morning to when you got stopped by the police out there in, what's the name of that road you're on? I'm sorry, I'm going drunk. Gant Ridge?
I'm not going to say anything after I've been read those rights yet.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what's going on. I am kind of sickly to what I'm here for and things.
So you don't want to explain what you've done today? Did you? Is there a reason behind that?
What was the first thing said? I have the right to remain silent.
Okay. So you're telling me that you don't want to talk to me right now? Okay, cool. Hang tight right here today, knowing that I need to rule you out of something, or like I'm just, if you didn't do anything wrong today, you have nothing to worry about.
Yes, I would have liked to, but before
Yeah.
The rights are red. So
Okay.
not knowing what's going on.
Yeah, and you understand as a detective, we read those rights to everybody who comes in here. It's not just you. It happens to everybody that walks through this room and talks to us. I guess if it was me and I was, if I was in your position, I'd be like, hey, James, I did this. Or Grant, I did this. I was at, here, here, and here. And I would just be done with it. But at this point, like, I can't clear you from this because you could still potentially be a suspect.
Hello, I need to go.
You need to go where?
Home or get ready for work in a little bit.
Okay, we'll just have a seat and I'll get it for you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Grant.
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. You want to talk to me again? What's going on?
I'm just ready to go.
Okay. And I'm not ready for you to go yet, so you're not going to be able to go. I've got other things that I'm doing right now, so.
Well, I was gonna go.
But if I don't get your side of the story, I won't ever know. We're writing a book. You got chapter 1, you got chapter 2, and chapter 3. Chapter 1 is what happened today, what started out today, how your day started. Chapter 2 is what led up to the incident, and chapter 3 is you telling me about what happened to lead you up to that. I know you went to eat, out tonight. I know what you said at dinner. I know that you went to Lowe's afterwards. I know everything, but I don't know what caused the incident. And if I don't know that, I've got to assume the worst.
Me too. Okay.
All right, I'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you.
Get ready to think about laying down up on that desk, but it looks awful hard.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be any more comfortable up there than what you are now. Can you help me understand how we got to this point?
I don't know.
I don't know. Man, I remember being on patrol and running into you one night. Help me out on a call back then. It was way back in, I guess almost 3 years now.
Well,
two.
Yeah, probably so.
Like that. Yeah, something like that.
You guys were always good to help us, help me too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brad, you was always right there.
Just to understand how we got to this point. Honestly, you were far from that. You're very polite. Don't you know why you're here?
I appreciate you guys, and I'm just gonna get a lawyer.
Yeah, it's up to you.
But
You can
obviously something's going on, and I need one.
I just want to hear.
Detective Chamberlain attempted various tactics to get Grant to open up. First, he tried to establish a connection, hoping their shared profession would create trust. When that didn't work, they left Grant alone to think. Even though Grant's wife gave him an alibi, a witness placed him at the crime scene, weakening his defense. Under increasing pressure, the detectives changed their approach. Detective Cordiero, in a sympathetic tone, reminded Grant of a past case where he had helped her, trying to create a bond. Surprisingly, Grant began to speak, but only briefly. However, once the conversation returned to the case, he became silent again. Despite efforts to talk about other things, Grant remained unyielding. Grant asked for a lawyer during questioning, which stopped the interrogation. Further inquiries uncovered a startling fact. Grant's DNA matched a cold case from 1997, resulting in more charges. Ultimately, Grant Hardin received a 35-year prison sentence, guaranteeing he'd remain incarcerated for life, leaving behind a legacy of mysteries and ruined lives. Thanks for tuning in to US Bad Cops. If you were shocked by what you saw, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and let us know your thoughts in the comments below.